Hi up Leeds! Rob Pyke from Veritas Paranormal UK runs ghost hunts that make lots of money for charity. Rob and his wife Anne-Marie host these ghostly hunt events online, and Rob told me lots of ghostly stories, and he was a very interesting guest. Have a listen. Welcome to another coronavirus extraordinary episode of Light on Leeds, where today I'm very excited to be speaking to Rob Pyke. Hello, Rob.
Hi, Hazel, you all right?
I'm very well, thank you. We've finally got to talk to each other. We've had all sorts of terrible technical troubles, but we're finally here.
I know it's been fate, hasn't it? There's been something against us both along the way.
Yeah, it's like there's been a bug in the system or something. So, Rob, do you run Veritas Paranormal UK?
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, along with my wife, to be honest. But she says that it's mine all the time. So, yeah, okay, it's me.
And what exactly is Veritas Paranormal UK?
Veritas Paranormal UK was one of my mad bonkers ideas that I came up with many, many years ago while sitting watching BBC of all channels. They came up with Children in Need advert. And I've always been interested in the paranormal. I said to Anne-Marie, my wife, I said to her, look, why don't we do something for children in need? And that was the kind of linchpin, I suppose. That was the kind of beginning. I contacted Leeds Abbey House Museum, which I knew was an active location. I asked them if we could host an event there for charity. I wasn't expecting a positive response. However, I did get a positive response, and we've been back there many, many times. They actually said, yeah, of course you can come along. We'll waive any usual location fee so you can maximise what you can donate.
Excellent.
And cut a long story short, we raised £700 for children in need, and we thought it was such a success and we loved it so much, we thought, you know what, let's carry on with this. This is a really good idea.
That's brilliant. So you've just been raising money for charity for quite some time now then?
Since 2017, yeah.
Excellent. So when you say that you had an interest in the paranormal, when did that sort of start and how come?
It started at a really young age. Whether it was night terrors or not, I've no idea. But I've got a bit of a 2 or 3 minute story here. Shall I tell you?
Yeah, please.
I used to go fishing a lot with my dad on the River Severn. And we'd go most weekends. My dad was an avid fisherman. I enjoyed it, but not overly. It was nice getting away with my dad for the day, you know. Anyway, one particular Sunday morning, we were down there fishing, hadn't caught anything. Police car turned up. Now we're looking at around about 1978 or so. You didn't really see many police cars around at that time, to be honest with you. But anyway, police car arrived, called my father over to him. And the thing that I remember more than anything else, it'll stay with me for life, was my dad breaking down in tears.
Oh.
Now, this was my dad. My dad never cried, you know. That was my dad. Turned out that his mum had passed away, which, and I know for a fact my dad was very close to his mother. Anyway, for about 6 months to a year or so after that, this is going to sound amusing, but it wasn't at the time. Mm-hmm. I would wake up literally in the middle of the night at all different times with what felt like an almighty slap across my face.
Really?
It sounds amusing, but it was, I remember now like it was yesterday. It was so vivid that my face was actually burning when I woke up.
Oh my God.
I could feel the slap, I could hear it, I could, you know, and there was always a smell of my nan's talc that she used to wear. Now, this was when I was awake. Obviously, I woke up with the slap across the face, but I was awake. I could feel my cheek burning. I could smell this talc. I'd be screaming the house down for, Mum and Dad, come and help me. You know, there's something going on here. They'd settle me back down. Anyway, you know, looking back in hindsight, whether it was night terrors or not, I don't know. But I know when I was in my 20s, my dad did say to me that he would regularly see at the end of his bed, his mum stood there at the end of the bed. He didn't tell me that at the time for obvious reasons, and I'm thankful.
Yeah, I bet.
But since then, that was kind of my first interest, I suppose. And there's been a few other experiences along my long avenue.
Wow, it's fascinating. So that's what spurred you on. And did you have to do a lot of research? What's your sort of theory on what ghosts are?
Um, I've got good question. I don't know if you know Richard Felix, historian.
I don't actually know.
Um, Richard Felix is a historian. He was on Most Haunted during the first few years. I won't go into specifics there, but Richard is a well-known historian in the paranormal field. He actually owns Derby Jail now. And I went to see Richard. We hosted an event there last year. Now, Richard came up with a really good point. A lot of people, when they come on paranormal investigations, they're scared. And Richard said outright, at the end of the day, if a ghost had a job, it wouldn't be to scare people.
Yeah.
Ghosts, really, at the end of the day, spirits, the paranormal, ghosts as a whole, whatever you want to call them, they're carrying on where they left off.
So do you feel like it's sort of like two timelines running at the same time? So they're maybe not as aware of you, or even if they saw you sort of appear as if a ghost in their timeline, they would also be freaked out.
If you look at it as like energy, let's look at it at a scientific perspective. Mm-hmm. Energy cannot be destroyed. We know that. That's fact, okay? We, as human beings, we all have energy within us. Now, if energy can't be destroyed, where does that energy go when we pass? Mm-hmm. It's got to go somewhere, you know, whether that's into the fabric of the walls where we live, whether that's into anything else, materials around us, who knows? I have no idea. But that energy's got to go somewhere. Yeah. And whether that energy then continues to carry on what it did before, again, I don't know. These are questions which they don't keep me awake at night, fortunately. Yeah. But they're questions I think, you know, that they'll continue to be asked for years to come, years after I've gone as well.
Yeah, you're right. Do you feel like not to wish it on or anything, Rob, or to think about something too maudlin, but do you feel like, say, when your time comes, and if there is any way to communicate, have you made a pact with somebody where you'll come back and let them know?
Oh, I've got a list of people that I'd like to haunt. Don't get me wrong. I have a whole long list of people, you know. No, you know, I mean, if I've made my peace with the world, and I'm happy with that, then fine. I'll pass away and go and see my dad. You know, that'll do for me nicely.
And when you've been doing your ghost hunts around Leeds, is there any particular ghost that you've come across?
Well, we visited a place called Tonbridge Unitarian Church. I've got all sorts of stories for this one. We went there actually on the back of Most Haunted visiting. Now, they went there. I contacted the volunteers who run the church. They said not really a lot happened at the end of the day. Right. But at the end of the day, we went there. We weren't expecting a lot of activity. And boy, were we wrong. The best way of me describing this, I suppose, in life, there's bad people as well as there is good people. Mm-hmm. And again, in death, there's going to be bad people as well as there is good people. Yeah. I don't see that changing much, to be honest. We got a lot of negativity on the 2 visits that we've been there so far. We had smells of sulfur. We had where there was no sign. We had bangs going on 3 at a time. We couldn't ascertain where they came from. We had a couple of guests who were physically scratched where they were nowhere near anything else.
Oh my goodness!
We couldn't work out where they came from. We had a guest take a photograph up in the graveyard. We've objectively tried to debunk this photograph. There was no mist. There was no weather conditions. It's on our website. It's the photograph. And thousands of people on social media have seen this photograph. They've all said exactly the same, that they see the same as what we have. So it's not pareidolia. It's one of the best captures I've ever seen, and I was thankful to be a part of it.
Do you ever get scared yourself when all this kind of thing's happening then?
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. The world's biggest coward. I mean, thankfully our insurance, we carry insurance for liability insurance. They actually, one of the stipulations with that was you're not allowed to jump out on people and say boo or scare them.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But I mean, if I'm alone somewhere at a location, all the lights are out, I suppose it's the fear of the unknown. And yes, I call out to ask for spirits to come forward to tap me on the back or push me or anything. If they did, a herd of wild horses wouldn't keep me in the same place if anything were to happen. I'll tell you that for nothing.
Are there any famous ghosts that you know of that are supposed to haunt particular locations in Leeds?
Yes, there's a chap called Charles Peace. He, let me get the story right here. He's supposed to haunt Leeds Town Hall, the old Victorian cells underneath.
All right, yeah.
One of our offices was not too far from the Victorian cells. Now, Charles Peace, he killed a police officer in Manchester, I believe. Then he went on the run. This was in the 1800s. Came to Leeds, then went down to Sheffield, where he killed a neighbour. He was then subsequently arrested and brought back to Leeds for trial or for hanging at Armley. And before the hanging, he was imprisoned in the old Victorian cells underneath Leeds Town Hall.
Right.
I mean, people have heard knocks and bangings, whatever, and what have you. Unfortunately, I haven't heard anything myself. I'd love to, don't get me wrong. But that's where the story goes, that it's Charlie Peace who's meant to haunt the lower areas of Leeds Town Hall.
Have you ever been on one of your, what do you call them, ghost walks, ghost hunts?
Full Sunday name, paranormal investigations.
Paranormal investigations.
Layman's terms, ghost hunts.
Have you ever had somebody come along on one of your paranormal investigations and just get completely freaked out and have to sort of get out of there quite quickly?
Haven't had that per se. We do have a lot of people who have never been on a ghost hunt before, who obviously have watched it on the TV, have watched, series on there. And some people coming along with, I wouldn't like to say the word expectation, but they are kind of expecting something to happen that they've seen on the telly, and something always happens. It's not necessarily the case.
No.
I'd say a lot of the time our ghost hunts, 99% of what goes on can easily be explained. I and my wife alongside me, we will certainly try and debunk objectively anything that goes on, like a shadow across the wall that could be a car headlights outside, a tap in from upstairs, that could be a pipe retracting as it gets colder. And you've got to look out for those little bits. It's that 1% at the end of the night where you can't explain it. That's what people then need to take home with them and ask the question, hang on a minute, what did happen there? What was that? We certainly won't on a ghost hunt say, that's paranormal, that's paranormal. We can't explain that. That is that,
Yeah.
People who come along for the first time, we will look after them. We'll put them at ease. Like I said to you 5 minutes ago, if a ghost had a job, it wouldn't be to scare people.
You have to just try and bear that in mind. Are there any locations that you've always looked forward to going to yourself and doing a paranormal investigation because you've heard of so much activity there?
Well, yeah, we love Abbey House. We've been there several times. We always wanted to go to Bodmin Jail. We went there, and it was one of the quietest nights we've ever had, to be honest.
Oh.
Unfortunately, we are booked in to go to Chillingham Castle this November, which we are deeply excited about going up to there. Hopefully, with COVID regulations and so on and so on, hopefully it'll still be okay for us to go up there in November.
And where's Chillingham Hall, sorry?
Sorry?
Where is Chillingham Hall?
Chillingham Castle. It's up in Northumberland, not too far from Alnwick.
Oh, okay, yeah. Ooh.
It's got a lot of reputation as a very active castle.
It's a great name as well for a place like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Rob, I can detect from your accent that you've perhaps not always lived in Leeds all of your life.
That's right. That's right. I moved from where I was brought up in Staffordshire, moved to Scotland in 1984. I lived up in Scotland for about 20 years or so before moving to the northeast. I then met my gorgeous wife, Anne Marie, here in Leeds. So I moved to Leeds, and this is where I've laid my hat. This is where I'll stay now.
Yeah.
Unless we both end up moving somewhere else, who knows? But yeah, I've been all over. It's been nice. It's been some journey, but I've settled down now, and I love Leeds. I genuinely do. I love it.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. And have you got some events coming up that people can get involved in? Are you doing everything online at the minute?
Well, we've actually done. I'm going to go back to when this COVID started. Obviously, we couldn't obviously go ahead with our normal guests attending events.
Yeah.
We like to raise money for charity, which you know that already. So we decided to do something online. We really didn't think we'd get much interest. So we asked the owners of 30 East Drive, Pontefract, a very well-known location for activity, not too far away either, to see if we could basically set up our own CCTV system in the house, transmitted live. Sorry, that's the cat wanting to go out the door. Just give me a second. We set up the cameras, we went live on social media. I think at one point we had about 400 people watching.
Wow.
We asked for donations on the lead up and on the night, and we raised just short of £700 for Leeds Cares, the NHS affiliated charity for Leeds teaching hospitals.
That's amazing.
This was our first online event. It was fantastic. We were blown away. So we thought, shall we do another? And we thought, why not? So we did at Leeds City Museum. And again, it was a little bit slow in the uptake, but again, we raised just short of £700, this time for Cash for Kids based in Leeds.
Excellent.
So we've decided to do one more on the 25th of July, a week on Saturday.
Yeah.
People are more than welcome to come along. Well, not come along. People are more than welcome to watch us on our Facebook group page.
Yeah.
This is going to be at the Leeds Library.
Ooh.
Not the council-owned one, the old one on Commercial Street. You know the one I mean?
That place. Yeah, it's amazing.
We went there for a visit last year because we were going to be hosting an actual guest event there, but we've had to reschedule that until next year. Now, my wife, Anne Marie, she loves her books. She was in her element. And the building itself is amazing. It really is.
It is. It's stunning. A previous guest, actually, Rob Kilner, was telling me they'd done some, I think it was like a writing retreat, and they'd all stayed overnight, and the idea was to sort of stay up and sort of see where your mind took you. And he said he heard all sorts of scary noises.
We can't wait. We really can't. There's an old archives park down in the cellar area. Now, you mentioned cellar to me at any building, and that just pricks my ears up. It really does. But there's all the archives down there, and it used to be a courtyard. It's all blocked in now. But yeah, looking forward to getting down there and obviously seeing what we pick up on the night. Fingers crossed it'll be a good one.
I got to visit there as part of the balconies and basements tour that Rob was doing as part of the Heritage Walks last year, and we went into the cellar with the vaults and everything, and it just I love the film Ghostbusters, and it just totally reminded me of that.
Exactly. That part at the start of the film with the woman walking down. Exactly. I know.
And the little drawers opening with all the cards coming out. I was expecting that to happen any second.
This is what I'm hoping for when we go.
You might get some ectoplasm and everything.
I know, exactly.
Have you ever actually seen anything like that in real life?
Have I seen a ghost? Is that what, when I was in my mid-20s, I did, driving along the side of Loch Lomond with a friend of mine in the car, Jason. It was winter. We had the heating on in the car. We approached a corner. I thought I saw something, a shadow, walk across the road in front of us. So I eased back off the accelerator a little bit. And as soon as we went past that little patch there where I thought I saw something, the car went icy cold just for a couple of seconds, and then it warmed back up again with the heating. I didn't say anything at the time because I was a little confused, to be honest, but we pulled over about 2 miles up the road, and all I said to Jason was I asked him if he saw ... I didn't say anything else. And as soon as I said saw, he said yes, he did. And he described exactly the same what I saw, which looked like somebody hunched over a little bit like a monk wearing a monk's robe, walking from the lock side over towards the wood area. And he saw exactly what I saw. And that wasn't planned or anything like that, obviously.
Yeah.
I couldn't explain that, and I couldn't again. But that was in the mid-20s. Since we've been doing ghost hunts properly per se, back to East Drive, 30 East Drive, my niece and I, we put our fingers lightly on a small toy pram, and we asked for spirits to come forward and move the pram. Lo and behold, the pram moved forwards. We asked for spirits again to come forward and move the pram, and it did. The pram moved backwards again. These little things are that 1%, like I mentioned before, that you just can't explain. You just can't put a logical explanation to it at all.
When you talk about 30 East Drive in Pontefract, is that the famous place that was there was a movie made about it not so long ago with I can't think of his name, Timothy Spall?
No, that one you're thinking of, the one with Timothy Spall, that was the one, that was the Enfield haunting down in London.
Of course, Enfield haunting, yeah.
There was a 30 East Drive, a film called When the Lights Went Out, and that was out in 2012. That was based on the events that happened to the Pritchard family in the 70s there at 30 East Drive.
Oh, okay. And so what did happen to them?
All sorts. Story has it that during the summer, I can't remember what year it is, sorry, it evades me, they had all sorts of activity going on in the house. There was one particular moment where the daughter was dragged upstairs by her throat by unseen hands. They had damage to the house. And since then, there's been a lot of recorded occurrences of paranormal activity. I know for a fact the neighbour, Carol, she's lived there all her life. She was in the living room once talking about the history of the house to a group that we're in. And she was sat down in a chair by the TV, and she literally had to leave the living room. She felt like she was getting choked at the time. As soon as she was outside, she was fine. But when she was inside, she just couldn't, she just felt like she was being choked.
That sounds like a really malevolent spirit, really, doesn't it? Ugh.
Yeah, there is something definitely not quite right in that property. Definitely not. I've been there about 13, 14 times, and I'll be honest, there's been about 6 or 7 of those times where nothing's happened. It seemed very benign. But in the other times, I've had activity there which I just can't, I can't give a logical reason to at all. When you walk into a house, 99% of the time, it's nice, you feel welcome. There's something when you walk through those doors in that house, putting the movie to one side, you just don't feel welcome at all. There's just something. I'm not a medium. I've never been a medium. I can't sense things. I can't pick things up. But you don't have to be a medium to know when there's somebody looking at you in a room. We all have that sense, no matter who we are, and that's how you feel inside that house.
Oof. I don't think I'd dare go. Rob, I always ask guests 3 questions. The first one is, what do you think is great about the city of Leeds?
It has to be the people. I've lived all over. I've lived in the West Midlands. I've lived in Scotland, up by Glasgow, the northeast. But coming to Leeds, you just feel welcome. People will just do anything for anybody. Everyone's got each other's backs, and I love that about Leeds. I really do.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. And if you had to choose something, what would you say is something that is not so great about Leeds?
Good question. I'd say 8:30 in the morning, Scott Hall Road, trying to get into Leeds city centre to go to work.
Yeah, that's never going to be easy.
Not good.
No, that comes up quite a lot, just traffic problems and buses. And if somebody had been a long-term resident of Leeds, would you be able to tell them about something that you would consider to be a hidden gem that they might never have heard of?
Everywhere, really, to be honest. I mean, yes, we've got the urban landscape of Leeds city centre. There's Wetherby town centre. But you get off the beaten track and there's the canal area that goes through, which is absolutely stunning. I live just east of Leeds, between Leeds and Wetherby, and I've got a couple of horses in the field. We've got, all sorts of wildlife. We've got red kites all over. Just right on our doorstep, there's the Yorkshire Moors. There's, we're in the middle of God's country. There's no one particular hidden gem as such,
No, there's all sorts.
We are right in the gem. I used to do a lot of cycling, and Leeds city centre seems to be in a bit of a dip. It always seemed to be when I was cycling. I was always cycling uphill, no matter where I went. It was a nightmare. But all around, we've got so much beauty. It really is. It's stunning.
It is, yeah. Brilliant answer. And what will you be doing with the rest of your day today, Rob?
Rest of the day today, I am mainly doing washing, cleaning the house, mopping through the lounge. I've got some batteries to recharge ahead of next weekend. Probably taking the dog for a walk, although she's snoring away quite the thing. Other than that, a nice mundane day.
Yeah, which sometimes is exactly what you need, isn't it?
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for coming along and talking to me. I'll make sure that I put links to everything in the podcast notes that people can click straight through to your website and to your events on Facebook.
Okay, lovely.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Hazel.
Do click the links in the podcast notes to find out more about Veritas Paranormal UK. If I can muster up some bravery, I'm going to join one of their online events. We'll see. The featured track on this episode was sent to me by The Light Show, an indie punk band from Leeds, with their raucous track, Are You Gonna Get Away? Enjoy!
Something I presume.